Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, so like how I'm introduced, I hate being introduced as a lady because I'm not a lady. As I said before, I used to play hockey. I could beat someone up if I wanted to.
Yep.
That's not particularly ladylike. I can be ladylike. Look, I do my nails, but I know how to use a power drill, for example. So I don't like being introduced as a lady. Like a lady is a particular type of woman, right?
Okay.
I don't like being introduced as a lady.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a lady. I'm far more competent than someone who needs a man to do things for her.
That's actually a really interesting point because not being introduced as a lady means that you're actually you want the MC to present you as the shtick that you're wanting to communicate on stage. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I suppose so in a way. Well, I mean, you always get asked, how do you want to be introduced, right? And so, and I just always say, don't introduce me as a lady or as a female comic.
You say that to the MCs?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I always just want to be introduced as and this next comic is hilarious, or whatever it is that they do. Maybe they don't think I'm hilarious. I don't mind being introduced as you're going to love this next comic. She's fantastic. Because we have to use pronouns in this, in this English language, we do have gender specific pronouns, and I've got no problem with that. And so, yeah, in terms of introductions, pronoun is fine. She's great, or she's really funny, or she's just tragic. Whatever it is, whatever descriptive you're going to use, using she or her as is fine.
It's a really interesting point, actually, because you talk about comedian. I actually don't know what the birthplace of comedian was. Do you know what its history is? And more to the point, do you know why there's kind of this move to say no comedian? Like we're all comedians.
I can have a guess.
Yeah.
Not that long ago, we were saying female doctor or lady doctor.
Right.
Right? And they still do in French.
And I suppose you wouldn't say doctette.
No. They say, la femme médecin,
yeah.
Right? So there are certain professions, because they put a gender on everything, whether it's a table, whether it's a rug, whether it's a room, whether it's a house, right? So, but I certainly remember when I was a kid, my mum referring to, or my dad referring to certain occupations, like, we're going to go see the lady doctor, or we're going to go see that.
Right. But yeah. there was that disparity because they wouldn't necessarily say the male doctor.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. There's no reason for it. I absolutely encourage people to say, I never say actress.
Yeah, right.
I never say actress. It's everyone's always an actor.
Yeah.
And I feel exactly the same about comic.
In the Jeez Louise forum, actually, during Comedy Festival, we at the magazine actually asked a question, and we really wanted to know what they thought about actually breaking up and creating a disparity similar to the Emmys, the Oscars, and the British Comedy Awards, where you have your best female performer, best male performer. And I spoke to some comics, and they said, look, if you're going to actually have best female performer, make sure that if you've got best female performer, make sure that you've got best male performer.
Yeah. That was exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
And I can see good and bad things to both of those situations. I love that Melbourne International Comedy Festival doesn't differentiate.
Right.
That it's just best show or
Yep.
best comic or best newcomer.
Yep.
Blanket.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
So I've got no problem. I really like that, but I can also understand why you might have, why you might split it as well.
Why do you think?
I think it's really great to, Oh, wow, I'm totally going to be shooting myself in the foot here. I just sometimes, it's a numbers game, right? Like
Yep.
there
Yep.
are hardly any women doing it, right? So the likelihood of a woman winning the award as compared to a man winning an award, you've got just a higher probability in terms of numbers if you're male,
Yeah.
right? Just a much higher probability because there are that many more men doing it. Um, on the other hand, if you've got so few women doing it, you've got a better chance to stand out. But I can understand why. I could be wrong, but I think the New Zealand Comedy Festival might separate the awards where
Right.
they have Best Female Act and Best Male Act.
Yeah.
And as the other said, I totally agree with them. I have no problem with saying Best Female Comic if the other award is Best Male Comic.
Yeah, of course.
You don't just go Best Female Comic and then Best Comic.
I can pretty much say that there is a increase in enrollment with females in comedy. With that happening, how do you actually increase more so that the disparity becomes less and less and less? And is that the goal?
I tell every funny woman that I meet that isn't a stand-up comic that maybe she should think about it.
Yes.
Or if there is someone that speaks to me that is kind of like, yeah, people have told me that maybe I should go. I'm like, do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Because that's what got me up. I had someone come up to me the other night who was part of a couple, and she said that really typical thing that, women get all the time.
I think I know what you're about to say. Yeah.
And I bet you know what it's going to be because it's the standard tired old thing.
I don't normally like female comedians.
Exactly. Bingo.
But you, Lana, are just a cut above the rest.
Me in particular. And I'm like, no. You just clearly haven't done your homework because I'm definitely not the best female comic out there. I'm pretty good, but I'm not the best female comic out there. So if they're saying things like that to me, it just tells me that they haven't done their homework. Unfortunately, that statement came out of her mouth, and she knew exactly what she was doing, right?
Oh, really?
She kind of apologised beforehand. She was like, oh, I know this is going to sound sexist, and I hate that I'm saying this. And I'm like, don't say it. Said it anyway. So back to your original question, which was, is it damaging?
Yep.
What was the question? Is it damaging even broaching this subject?
Yeah,
I don't think it is.
Well,
I don't think it is because I think that our working environment isn't protected in the same way. Yeah, I don't think it is a damaging question. You can always ask questions. There's no harm in asking questions. Asking questions is a great thing. Judging it and prejudging it or being prejudiced about it, that's damaging. But asking questions I don't think is damaging. Asking questions shows a curiosity and an initiative. If you meet... Okay, so I'm Jewish, right? I have no problem if anybody ever wanted to come up to me and say, hey, what's it like to be a Jew? I'd be like, well, you got to deal with, certain members of your family doing this, that, and the... And I'd be like... This is great. You have a curiosity about something that is different to you, which is wonderful and it's great. And you want to be welcoming to whatever it is. So I don't think that there's any problem. I don't think it's damaging at all asking these questions. What is damaging is asking the question, are women funny? That's damaging. But asking the questions of how to get more women into the industry, that's not damaging at all. I mean, look, my major bugbear about the industry is that and maybe it's not such a bad thing, I don't know. Like, I don't like, as I said, I don't like being pushy, but maybe it's a good thing that the industry makes me be pushy.
Is there an alternative to being pushy when it comes to getting a gig?
Not particularly. I don't think.
And is there an alternative to the competitive element of comedy that you currently see at the moment?
Yeah, don't be competitive.
What does that yield though? Doesn't that yield like? What does that yield? Doesn't that yield like? Are people competitive because it, like, you know, like it works, or it gets them the gig, or it shuts someone else down?
I think people are competitive for the same reason that sports people are competitive. But the thing is that sport is a competition. Comedy isn't a competition. Comedy is about making people laugh.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like the arts being a competition. I think that it's competitive enough. I hate it mainly because I feel like I always lose.
It's a tough one.
It's not the art form that's competitive, you know. And all of the arts are competitive in terms of what gets funded and what gets on, and, you know, some really great work doesn't get made.
There's a darker side to humour. Like, there's a butt of every joke. There's a point to every joke, and the point is obviously to win other people over to your side of seeing the world.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, you know, they say that you should always, there's a point of view that you should always punch up, right? That you should always pick up. And I believe in that to a certain extent, but then I think that there's also a way of not punching anywhere at all.
Right, this is very interesting, actually.
You know, that it's not necessarily hurting anyone. You know, you can have jokes that have nothing to do, you know, like I had something about where I was talking about political correctness and how it's actually grammatically incorrect to say un-PC. You know, it was basically the only thing that was being kicked in the guts was grammar.